All right, so I decided I'm gonna start a little jailhouse story thing, I guess. All right, I'm gonna be 38 this year. I realize I am not remembering stuff as much as I used to, I guess you'd say. Well, I'm just gonna get into it. When I was 17, I was charged as an adult for forgery. Trying to be cool, trying to hang out with other older guys, smoked weed, listened to music. This is before we had cell phones in our face all the time. So, social interaction was face to face. Well, I've always been like the quiet kind of guy, funny here and there, but there's a group of guys that I felt like I had to have shit to show out. Anyway, long story short, I get charged as an adult. I go to the Kankakee County Jail Corrections. It's called JCDC, Jerome Combs Detention Center. Um, shit, probably built back in the 50s, 60s. Basics layout. There's pods, cells. You go into one pod, and there's a catwalk around the whole area. A little day room within that. Within the cages, there's actual bars. Two sides, two-man cells, 5 cells on each side. Some had 10 cells on each side. All day, all night, nothing but BET on the TV from the moment they opened them cell doors for one side to go out, because only one side would go out at a time. So, mind you, I didn't mind music at the time, but if you used to watch BET back in the day, it would be a playlist. You know what I mean? Probably about maybe 10, 12 songs, maybe, and they'd play it all day, and they'd throw in little shit in between, right? So figure, I ended up spending almost a year and 4 months of my life. They call it the third floor. It's where they put the felons, the big time felons. And at the time, they had some local gang members from around here, Latin Kings. There was a group of them, and one got caught for throwing a Molotov cocktail through someone's window, right? The intended victim was not there, but his parents were there. His parents ended up dying. And so said guy ended up telling on the main guy or ended up telling on the guy above him, and then they told him the main guy. Anyway, there's 4 guys in there. They're in there for over 5 years. These guys were in the county jail. Anyway, get to the point here. So I'm about maybe 6 months in, right? And mind you, I didn't have this gorgeous beard when I was 17, 18, 19. I really didn't get it. And that's for future videos. I end up taking boot camp time. I go to boot camp. That's another video, like I said. Anyway, this is just one story from the county jail. 6 months in on this bed. County I'm from, they like to push court dates off. They give you a bail they know you can't pay, and then they'll just keep pushing them court dates. If you ain't got a paid lawyer, you kind of fuck. You gotta sit it out, right? So I had this celly, Eric Nocentelli. He's probably about 6'3", but to me at the time, he might as well have been 9 foot tall. African American guy. He's my celly. We was cool. He was cool to me in the cell and shit. But when it came to when we went out into the day room area and play cards, my thing was the phone. I had to stay in contact with my people. You know what I mean? So the little bit of money that I did get that my mom was able to provide for me, I bought phone cards, right? And when I get a little extra hungry, I'd trade a couple minutes for a bag of chips or whatever it may be. And one day I'm in the day room. Now Eric's cousin's in there too. And I was cool. He's cool. He's a funny guy. He wanted a couple minutes off my phone card, and I only had like 2 minutes left on it, right? And he's like, I'll give you this bag of Cheetos, right? And I was like, all right, man. I was looking out for him. I really want my 2 minutes. You know, that 2 minutes is a, hey, I love you and I feel good before I go to bed. You know what I mean? So here I am in the day room. I just popped my little bag of chips, a little baby one. You know, I'm babying him. And here comes Eric up on me and kind of pushed up on me. And he's like, let me get that bag of chips. And I was like, not me. You know, I just traded my last couple, my last on my phone card for these chips from your cousin and shit, you know? So I figured it'd be cool, you know, whatever. Go get some chips from your cousin or whatever, because that, you know, he'd be sitting on some shit. Anyway, so I go like this. I was like, you know, being nice and shit. You know, I go to offer him fucking some chips out the bag and shit. You know, I was gonna dump some in his hand, and he gonna snatch the whole bag of chips out my hand and throw that shit in the toilet. There's like a community toilet out in the day room, right? So if you really had to deuce it up or whatever and you couldn't do it in yourself, you could do it in front of everybody out there. Anyway, he throw him in the toilet and like get in my face and shit and really pushing up on me. And he's like, oh, you want me to beat your ass? You know, I can't tell you exactly what he said right now, but something along the lines, I'm gonna beat your ass right now or whatever, what you gonna do? And me being, and I was young, you know, 17. I barely looked 17. So, you know, he's pushing up on me, and I was just like, you know, if you feel like you're going to be more of a man if you beat up a kid, a 17-year-old, go ahead and do it. And at this point, his cousin came up and grabbed him up. And then, you know, of course, when a couple people get between us, he gets all loud and, you know, like big time mad and shit. And the guards come in and shit, and they end up taking both of us out of there. They took both of us out and ended up just moving us to different spots. Like, didn't even ask us shit about what happened. Didn't ask me, at least, about what happened. And you know, this seems like something petty, but you know, that really put me, because beforehand it was laid back, it was chill, you know, it was, you know, damn, I got meals coming every day. I know when the meal's coming. I got homies I play cards with every day. I hustle, you know what I mean? You do your thing in there. On the 3rd floor, and that's the only floor you can do it, you can climb up on the bars and you can actually see it. They got little windows that let light in, and you can actually see out those windows. So, you know, every day I'd spend shit. It sounds crazy, but like, you know, hanging on them bars, staring out that window, watching people doing everyday shit, you know. The thing you shouldn't be doing when you locked up, because then you really get in your head and you get in your feelings. You wonder about what's your girl doing, what's your mom doing. You know, at the time I didn't have no kids, so I didn't have to worry about what my kids are doing. But you know, it didn't feel like, you know, jail's supposed to be like there to rehabilitate you and to make you a better member of society. But when I'm just shit, I was just a kid I'm from the fucking suburbs, a small town you wouldn't even fucking know about. And it's like, you put me in here with like actual fucking murderers. I did time with murderers. In that same unit, I had a cellie. They call him Swampy. I go into the cell. It's a 2-man cell. You know what? I'm gonna wrap it up right now. That's my first video. I'm gonna look at what it looks like. You know, if this is something you want to hear about, you know, I'm, like I said, I'm gonna be 38. I've been in trouble my whole life. Like, you know, when I was 13, my parents already been divorced for 6 years, right? My dad had moved to Oregon at this point, the state of Oregon, doing canine search and rescue. He'd been a police officer my whole life. He was in the military the first half of my life. So I ended up moving with him to Oregon, which that's full of other stories. Me getting, you know, that's where I first did some juvie time. You know, I made real good friends out there. I was in $1 million houses out there. You know, I've been to the county jail. I ended up behind the wall at Stateville Penitentiary in Illinois, Joliet, Illinois. And that's before they built the new Statesville receiving. So, that I went behind the wall of Big Joliet, where they filmed some of the Blues Brothers. I've been in the Birdhouse in Stateville. Went to boot camp, DuQuoin. That's really what kind of changed me, put a little bit more into me. Never been a gang member. I've always stayed true to my friends, sometimes too true to my friends, and not to the right people. I traveled the U.S. selling magazines, Greyhound bus from Chicago to San Francisco, which was a whole journey in itself. Lots of experiences on that. Sold magazines. I sold magazines to build. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. That's it for this.